interviewing. You know, that's what they doing. Stick around. It's about to get all roomy up in here. Remote Ruby starts now.
Chris Oliver, it's good to see you again.
Andrew Mason. Yeah, it was good to hang out in person last week. A little bit. I mean,
A little bit.
it wasn't as much as, Sin City Ruby?
We
Wait.
kind of had dinner together.
Yeah.
We were in the same restaurant eating dinner.
Yeah, right. Different tables.
Different tables, but we could see each other.
It was good. RailsConf 2025, the final RailsConf was, I think, a success.
I have thoughts. This morning, I was like, bro, I might text Chris and be like, I just don't want to record today. Like, I'm just not in the mood. And then I started thinking, I was like, wait, we have so much stuff to talk about.
Right?
I think this RailsConf was in my top 3 RailsConfs all time. I had an amazing time. Shout out to all the organizers and you and Ufuk and everyone who pitched in at every single level. Like, it was an amazing conference. I had a ton of fun. I went to more talks than I've been to since pre-COVID. When I was shooting.
Yeah.
I went to a lot of talks.
That's something we specifically went hard into the technical talks because I feel like those have been kind of missing or just weren't enough or something. And we got some incredible submissions this year. So I'm glad to hear that because I feel like we deliberately tried to do that. Sounds like we succeeded. I didn't really get to go to anything other than keynotes, I think. Keynotes were phenomenal too.
See, I did miss some of the keynotes because I basically just slept in until like 10 every day. And I enjoyed that a lot.
Did you miss Aji Slater's keynote? Okay. You have to.
Was that the look back at RailsConf?
Yeah, it was like 20 years of keynotes.
Yeah.
The keynotes.
I intended to go to that, and I think I just woke up and was like, 5 more minutes.
You missed a good one.
No, I heard a lot of people say that talk was fantastic.
It was phenomenal. The amount of effort put into that talk was just unbelievable. And then watching Aji making jokes, and then Aaron Patterson sitting in the front row, like pulling out his laptop, like, I got to go to change my slides for my talk to make a joke about this. It was so good. The pitch was kind of like, let's go through 20 years of keynotes, and your expectation might just be like, okay, we're going to go highlight a handful of things for starting at the beginning, ending it last year or whatever. But that wasn't really the talk at all. It was like looking back at highlights and things, as opposed to like, we're just going to run through everything and call out highlights historically in order or something. So I was really, really impressed with it. Aji just absolutely nailed it. And same thing with Aaron Patterson's talk. As always, nails it. But I really like the sort of reflection on it and conclusion at the end. It was like, don't forget to program for fun. That's why we're all here. We enjoy this. We love doing this. A lot of the fun gets sucked out of it, whether it's now I'm just a code reviewer because AI is doing all the work for me, or whatever the case is. You're working now doing programming as a job, and it's not fun because you're not just exploring whatever you want to look into. You're like, you have to do what your job or your boss demands. And I thought that was a great conclusion to like end on. It's like, we're here because it's fun. Look at all these ridiculous things. Brooke almost cried laughing when Aaron Patterson was talking about the crap data, and
it was the cat litter.
Yeah. If you haven't watched that talk, I forget what year his original talk that he was referencing there was, but he's talking about signal processing and analysis and stuff, and he's got this graph, and the graph dips down, and then he's got a cat image that he moves into the graph and then out of the graph, and he's talking about crap data and stuff, and eventually is like, this is me measuring the litter box of my cat in and out and stuff like that. And Brooke was just, I kind of could tell who calls it crap data. I could kind of guess until it was kind of revealed eventually And Aaron was like talking about the people who were mad. They were like, I sat through 45 minutes just to find out that you were talking about a cat's litter box this entire time. Kills me.
I remember that talk too. While you were talking, I was trying to find what year it was, but I really need these RailsConf talks to get on YouTube, dude. You don't understand.
Yeah.
It made me sad, but like happy. I don't know. It was like a really beautiful, like narrative journey, I thought. He interwove the underlying message throughout the entire talk. I don't know. It just made me like nostalgic. It made me feel happy inside and sad that it's over, but happy for the experiences that I got during it. And just like going through all his keynotes was like really fun too. Because he's always been, always go to the closing keynote at RailsConf because you have to see Aaron Patterson. That's what it is. That's the deal. So
yeah,
it was a phenomenal talk. And I love the ending message of like, we can still code for fun. Like we can still make stuff. We can still be creative and it doesn't have to be for profit or for work. And I was like, dang, I felt like I needed to hear that.
I do too. While you were talking, I was looking this up. There's actually a Google Cloud blog post about RailsConf 2017. And apparently that is the year that Aaron gave that talk.
I must have watched it then because I wasn't there.
Funny to see that was, of all places, on the Google Cloud blog. They have a link here to the... Oh no, they have a link to Confereaks for the video, but that domain is not valid anymore. And that's been hijacked by somebody. Well, we will find that and include it in the links for anybody that wants to watch that. And then I think in 6 weeks or something like that was kind of the timeline for when most of the videos will be edited and uploaded and stuff. So yeah, it was a good time. I didn't enjoy the super hot weather and humid weather in Philly, but then I came home and it was basically the same here and not as humid, I don't think. So it's been a little better, but man.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but dude, I was dying. And at some point, someone looked at me and they were like, you're also from a dry climate like me. And I was like, yep. He's like, are you dying? Right. And I'm like, bro, I don't think you understand. Like, I don't know what's going on in the Philly airport, but their AC wasn't working in some parts. I went to my gate and I was dripping with sweat. And I was like, I don't understand. And I went to a different part of the terminal and it was fine. It was a wet experience. And I stayed at the Logan, not the Sheraton, which was where the conference was. It's a 3-block walk. 3 blocks, dude. Easy. 5 minutes.
Right.
I would leave the hotel smelling beautifully. And I would enter the Sheraton dripping with sweat, looking like I just gone on like a safari, smelling. Oh,
it was rough. I didn't have to. Well, I guess I did do a panel, but I didn't really have to do any talks. But in the morning and before closing, I was like, I need to just go back to my room. And we had like a suite room and there was a door separating like the little lounge area and the bedroom. And like Brooke had to go close that door because there was no air conditioner in the lounge area. So it just got super hot in there and kept the entire bedroom like really hot. So she had closed that and I was like, I got to go back to my room and like dry off before I get back on stage. This sucks.
It was noticeably cooler after the first day in the spaces, I thought, though.
Yeah, I think they had got that a little better. The roof being glass of the atrium in the hotel wasn't helpful at all. So overall, I'm very happy with how it ended. I was worried that like it was going to end on a sad note and stuff, but I felt like everybody was just kind of having a great time. I had a wonderful time hanging out with everybody and just have good memories and don't feel sad about it. It is over, but like we'll just move to RailsConf or any of the other conferences and
RubyConf.
But yeah, we'll just kind of like move to the next ones, like, and hopefully more people pick up starting a conference and stuff like Travis Doctor is doing, and that is needed very, very much. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. It may not be, I don't know. We had like 800 people at the final RailsConf. last RubyConf in Chicago was like 650 people or whatever. Like that's huge. And so it's not that much of a leap or stretch to imagine that RubyConf will be 800 people or whatever. So yeah, looking forward to what's next. But I was very pleased that like it wasn't a sad send off to RailsConf.
Yeah. You said you didn't go to any talk. So you did a podcast panel.
Yeah, that is going to be turned into a podcast episode. So that'll probably come out before this one, actually. Honeybadger helps you fix errors, eliminate performance bottlenecks, and dig into the details faster than ever before. With support for Ruby, Elixir, and 8 other languages, it's the best way to gain real-time insights into your application's health and performance. Keep your apps fast and error-free at honeybadger.io. That's www.honeybadger.io. Yeah, I did Hackspaces, which was fun. Hackspaces, they're still a little weird to me, where like there was an enormous amount of people sitting in that room hacking on stuff, which I was very, very pleased with. That's better turnout than normal, I feel like, or in the past.
There were a ton of people in that room. Yes. I still have like conflicted feelings about Hack Day. But
even if it's just hallway track day,
but
I'm cool with that.
I like that they do the workshops during those days. There were a ton of people in that room, but I feel like most of them were not in the like spaces for like the projects that were there. I feel there were definitely
we only had 8 seats for each one or something. It was not much. My problem with it was we have 2.5 hours and 8 people show up. I can really only pair with one person at a time, and that was hard. And so we left kind of being like, well, I guess all of us will hopefully contribute at home when we get home next week. And that's kind of what's happened. Like a couple of people emailed me afterwards. I cut a brand new, like several releases of the Ferrum PDF gem. So that's all like in a much better place. Experimented with some stuff. I actually wanted to talk to you about that anyways today, because like I cut the 1.0 release earlier today, and I wish I waited just a little bit longer, because after I did that, I was like, you know what? I think I've seen in the Rails code base, you know, when you say like render JSON or render whatever, and it somehow knows to like call to JSON or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I realized we added these helper methods to the controllers to render the PDF or a screenshot with the gem, but you still have to pass it along to like send data and set the disposition and the file name and all that.
And the type.
So, yeah, exactly. So I was like, why don't we actually just do that for you? And I bet you the smoother way would be to register a renderer with Rails. And so that's what I have basically finished before we started recording, was you can say render Ferrum PDF and give it a hash of options. That'll be passed over to Ferrum to render in the browser a PDF or whatever. And then same with screenshots. I'm calling send data in there for you. So like if you were saying, say it's like a receipt route, you can go view the receipt in HTML, but like if you do the PDF version, it will just then grab and render the HTML, but to string, then send it over to Chrome in a headless mode, export that as a PDF, then take the PDF binary data back and then send it over to send data to return back in the browser. So it's render Ferrum PDF with basically no options. You tell it the file name you want to have it spit out if you want to inline in the browser, and boom, you're done. And we take care of like all of the little details. And still there's the option to call Ferrum PDF directly and do all that work yourself. But it's like a couple lines, because what's cool is when you register a renderer, when you say Ferrum PDF : and your hash of options, you can also still pass options over to render. So the options for Ferrum I pull out of the like subhash, and the rest of the options I just pass along to send data, which is nice. So I don't have to do anything fancy, which turned out really, really cool. I was very pleased with that.
I like that a lot. That's one of those like really nice, like, hey,
right?
It's like using Rails like the way Rails, I don't know, that feels very Railsy to me. I love that.
It is.
But it's not a breaking
Railsy,
change.
like,
So even though you release 1.0, like there's no pop that into 1.1 and hit send on that.
Well, I think I'm going to get rid of the old render PDF methods because they're so generic.
Then we're going to 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. It's like I might just jump straight to 2.
Do you have to get rid of them? Because from my perspective, I'm thinking about this like, hey, what if I am using this gem and then I'm like, I'm going to use a different gem instead. If I do like the generic method, then I can do that a lot simpler than I could if I have like render Ferrum PDF everywhere.
I just figured if you were going to define your own render PDF method, that's pretty generic and something you would probably do yourself. And I felt like if we were going to add a method name, it should probably be like render Ferrum PDF or something.
Yeah.
I hated that it was such a generic name. So it'd be a breaking change probably anyways. And then I was like, you know what? It'd be smoother if we just added it as a renderer and called it a day. So I think it's going to be fine. There's not a lot of people using it anyways, but it's been one of those gems where I just made it for fun to see like how quickly can I slap together an API that feels nice. And it's taken a while to like sleep on it and find like, oh, I should use the renderer stuff. But yeah, it feels real nice. At this point, I feel like it's quite a good little gem. And then we figured out a clean way to set like your default browser options for Ferrum to launch Chrome with. And we also made that thread safe. So in case 2 requests come in or 2 jobs try and export a PDF at the same time, then we've got that covered. So we've got a mutex that locks that. So you don't accidentally spin up 2 Chrome instances or whatever. Or like even reassigning or providing like another Chrome instance. Because like screenshots are affected by the size of the browser that you boot. You can resize the browser, but like you don't want to be resizing the browser at all, really, because if you do, then one job might accidentally resize to another size or whatever. So that could be screwed up across and isn't thread safe. So, I mean, you could do a lock around it like with the mutex too, but you just have to be careful with that stuff. So we were like looking into that. I, for a little while, did a little experiment. You could name browsers, like have a small one, have a large one, have the default one. And then I was like, I don't think most people are going to be doing that advanced of a setup. So we added that and then removed it. And we're like, it doesn't seem necessary. But I think it's turned out really nice. And it's just one of those gems that like I experimented with, like Simple Calendar, and published it. And then slowly people are like filing bugs. And I'm like, this wasn't even really like production ready at all, but people want it. So I'm like, okay, well, cool. And thanks to you pointing out to me that Ferrum doesn't need Node or Puppeteer, there's been quite a few people who are like, well, I'm using Grover. What about this gem?
The
and I was
Sesame
like, well,
Street
come
character?
on over.
Who the hell is Grover, bro?
Yeah. Have you seen that? You haven't seen Grover?
Grover is that dude in the blue with the Superman hat.
Yeah.
I know about Grover.
Well, Grover, the gem,
Don't bring
also
up Elmo.
uses... Yeah. Jackson loves Elmo.
Well, not this week.
Yeah, so Grover is actually a gem that's built on Node and Puppeteer to do PDF and PNG and JPEG exports, but it was generating Node commands and stuff to use Puppeteer to go control Chrome. And that's what I originally was like, man, I wish I didn't have to do that because that sucks as a dependency. So then you told me about Cupright and Ferrum, and I was like, this is a better Grover. Like I could do that with less dependencies. And so, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what we ended up doing with it. It's a similar API and it does pretty much all the same kind of things. The HTML preprocessor we took from that too. And I think they took that from like PDF Kit. But like if you have relative paths, either for like a domain, it will insert that. Or if you have like the relative protocol of HTTP or HTTPS, we got that too. So yeah, it's a nice one. I am pretty happy with how it turned out.
Imagine the last time you had to deal with request timeouts or backed up job queues in your prod environment. Frustrating, right? Here's what that means. You're either not autoscaling or your autoscaler is not doing its job, because autoscaling is supposed to prevent scenarios like this. That's why we built JudoScale. JudoScale is the autoscaler that works for Heroku, Render, Fly, and AWS. With JudoScale, you'll smoothly handle traffic spikes while dramatically lowering your hosting costs. Do you want a rock-solid production environment? Visit judoscale.com/remote-ruby to learn more.
I have two things to say, and one of them is just a mild crash out. There is something that really grinds my gears, Chris, and I need to tell you about it. And it's when...
I can't wait to hear this.
It's when you have a blog or an RSS feed, and inside that RSS feed or JSON feed or just inside the blog, whatever, you're using relative paths for images or for posts on your site in your feed. That doesn't help anyone. Stop doing that. For the love of God, dude. Pisses me off every single time when I go and get an RSS feed or save a post to my reader, and it's can't render this image because they're using slash freaking assets. Or oh my God, that pisses me off. All right.
Yeah.
All right,
that's a good one.
Moving on from that mild crash out. Crash out ended.
I think in any JSON or XML export, use URLs.
Yeah,
please.
Get your ish together, people. This is really annoys me.
That's an interesting thing that I've never looked into is how does Rails, when you're in mailers, know that the URL helper should set the domain when you use the path? Because you can still use the path helpers.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm curious how that works. I've just never even looked into it. I've always been
I wonder if
appreciative that it's smart enough.
Maybe.
It must. I bet it
just
does.
Use the
somehow.
URL.
But all those methods are dynamically generated, or maybe you go through method missing or whatever. But either way, maybe there's something in the renderer that triggers that, or there's some hidden option for it or something. I don't know.
You're about to take my ADHD down like a rabbit hole, and I've got to get back to my second point. I want you to know this is a safe space, but I'm going to push back a tiny bit on this breaking change here that you discussed, right?
Yeah,
do it. All right, here's the deal.
I'm not afraid.
A lot of us have some automated build tool that automatically upgrades our gems, Dependabot, Depfoo, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So we do this at Podia. Every single week, I get tagged on a dependency upgrade PR to review, right?
Yeah.
And so my main thing is, look, if it's a breaking change, I'm obviously going to look more, but I'm going to open the change log that Dependabot / Depfoo shows me. Is there anything in here that looks concerning? No, everything looks good. My main goal is to be able to just hit merge and just not worry about it, because the tests cover it. It's this and that. So with this change that you're describing, I agree, do the change. That's great. But the fact that you're removing the backwards compatibility means that I'm going to have to spend a lot more time upgrading that gem when it comes onto my plate. And also, if I don't realize, if I just hit merge on that and don't realize, now everything's broken, right?
Yeah,
so that's
you haven't done a test for that or whatever.
If I have not done any due diligence, it's just going to break. But even if I do the due diligence, I'm hopefully going to see quickly in your change log that, hey, major breaking change, you have this code, now you need to use this code. All right, now I got to go change all my freaking code and spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes finding the code and then running the test and then deploying it.
All you got to do is say, hey, Claude, change this for me.
Get out of See? I'm not even dignify that with a response.
Yeah, I agree typically. But luckily, we've been at 0.3 since September. And then I think I cut a release. Yeah, July 14th was 0.4. So then today I cut 1.0 and I'm yeah, you know what? Let's just get the proper thing done today before too many people integrate this. Right now, we're sitting at a total of 56 downloads.
Okay.
So it's
that's 56 people that might have to.
The majority of downloads were for 0.3 because it's been out since September and it's 21,000 downloads. But so far, the only downloads that have really happened are the bots that scrape, new releases. So I'm thinking the sooner I do that, the smoother it will be.
Agreed.
So,
totally agree.
Because people were doing some real hacky stuff for 0.3 to fix I didn't really have a good way to set a configuration for the default browser. So people were hacking around that, and we wanted to make that thread safe and better for everybody. So I think it's really important to make sure we have those breaking notes in the changelog and then show you like, here's the old version, here's the new version. But what'll be nice is like the way that the render call works, you more or less get to delete code for the most part and just change the method call. Instead of calling render PDF, you say render, and that was the method name, render underscore PDF. You just call render space Ferrum PDF colon and your options. So you're just going to swap that for the most part and then like merge your send data nonsense into it. Or you can just call the Ferrum PDF class method directly if you want to still keep your send data and all that stuff. But yeah, it should simplify a lot for people because it's like, well, why do they have to care about setting the MIME type and whatever else?
Right,
we can do that for you. And we can even set a default name that's maybe the current timestamp .pdf or something. And then if you want to override it to be like receipt number 1.pdf, then go right ahead. So yeah, I think that's the one thing where I'm like, I should do it now. It really was not production ready for the latest release. I cut 1.0 today, or I cut 0.5 today, and I was like, I should just make that 1.0. Like, I feel like this is in a good state. So I did, and now I'm like, wait a minute, another idea, 2.0.
Mm-mm. But you violated semantic versioning right there, and now you're paying for it. You did not have a breaking change.
Versioning.
You did not have a breaking change. You did a whole point bump.
But
tisk.
But 0. blah. We need a 1.0 to have a this is production ready. Like before 1.0, I think it is one of those things that kind of signifies like we're heading in the right direction, but like this may have lots of breaking changes or architecture decisions we want to make or whatever. And if we're going to go down that route, we have to call out John Nunemaker because HTTP Party, I think, is still 0.23.
As it should be, because there's been no breaking changes
since July 2008.
You know what's crazy is that you made a point and then you immediately pulled up a counter argument to that point.
No, I'm trying to convince John to cut a 1.0.
But he doesn't need to because there hasn't been a breaking change.
This is him hedging. He's like, we've never made it to 1.0. It could change at any minute. It's not final.
Hey,
it's not official.
As long as you have good changelog. I'm acquiescing to your point, but...
Good Lord. HTTP Party has 385 million downloads.
Yeah,
that's
easy.
Insane.
Easily, dude.
Love it.
Because you got to party hard.
I know. It's funny how much that pisses people off.
Who?
Have you not seen the threads?
They need to... Oh, my... Don't
so
let me... Dude, Chris,
that.
do not let me see those threads because I swear to God, I might have another crash out and just get my Twitter fingers out and start replying to these. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah. It's fun. I kind of get that it can be a little annoying to have that like post message on bundle installs because like the device
all bundle installs have a post message.
No, this is like that message at the very end.
Maybe
like,
I just have errors in my bundle.
Well,
that's why I always see things at the end.
Almost no gems have them, but like Devise added one that was like, hey, we are now compatible with Turbo and like things have changed, like status codes. And it's like pretty darn important to know about that. And so like it's in there, but it doesn't have any context of your application. Bundler just runs and then prints out that message. So it can't be hidden if your application's already compatible with those changes or whatever. So it's kind of like generic message that's printed out to absolutely everybody. Like ideally it would just be contextual. If you needed to see it, we should show it to you. But
you actually kind of pissed me off. Now that I'm thinking more about it, like these people are complaining about one line and I really need them to get a grip. They are burning the rainforest. Get a fucking grip.
I think it's pretty ridiculous, to be mad about it, but it's also the stuff that like I think John was on and told us about the basement HTTP Party in the basement module, stuff like that, and the post message. Like I love that stuff because it's part of the keep Ruby weird.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
if we get to be too formal and not having fun and whatever, like
This is
we're
not
gonna just end
Java.
up
Like,
as
calm
exactly.
down.
We're gonna just end up like that, and like that is not where we want to be.
You're acting like this post-install message is installing like a Bitcoin miner on your machine. Like, calm down, dude. I am so pissed off about URLs right now. URL formatting.
What about URLs?
No,
What is wrong with URLs?
No, I'm saving that for the next episode because I have a whole host of things to talk about with that.
Pun intended. But it's not really my domain.
All right. Since you didn't
What's
go to a
the
lot
protocol for
all right,
talking about this?
we're done here.
I don't see the path.
That's actually really funny. Damn it. You just pulled a Jason. Speaking of Jason, he just worked the whole conference. Like, I got to message my boss and be like, yo, give him his conference days back because bro did not go to the conference.
Jeez.
Obviously, there was a ton of great talks. I'm just going to mention a few of the ones that I went to or heard that were amazing. Irina's talk, she's amazing. Her talk on startups, I heard was amazing. I was not there, but my little brother went and said that was like his favorite talk of the entire conference.
Oh yeah, it was fun meeting your brother.
He came back to me. He's like, I talked to Mr. Go Rails for like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, he was hanging out at the tables that one day.
Justin walked up to me and he's like, we need a student to do like a video. And I looked at him and I was like, you want it? He's like, hell yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's my blood, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, give me that attention. Let's go.
At the same time, Irina gave her talk. I really wanted to watch Gannon McGibbon's talk about development speed optimizations.
Yeah, same.
He's on one of the Shopify teams.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I need these YouTube videos to come out. I need these YouTube videos to come out.
Every single slot. I'm like, all three talks, I actually wanted to see all of them. So anyways, the ones you were looking forward to.
Manu's talk, understanding Ruby web server internals.
I heard many people,
really good, dude.
Many people mentioned that talk afterwards. So I can't wait to look at that.
That was an amazing talk, especially if you are like, maybe Puma's not the right web server for me. It was a fantastic talk.
Speaking of Puma and Heroku and Router 2.0.
No, don't. I'm not listening.
I mean, this will be out too late for everybody. I saw Jamie posted that. So if anybody doesn't know, apparently the Router 2.0 is being pushed out for every Rails app or whatever. But like the HTTP keep alive feature is just destroying response times with Puma specifically. And their recommendation was to turn off the keep alives, but they just left it on by default, which seems weird. It should be like existing applications. You know, existing applications, leave it off. New ones, turn it on. If that makes sense as a default.
Now you're talking about some complicated form now. I don't want to make that form. If new, do that. Nah,
there you go. Yeah.
If conditional.
Logic.
Yeah, we turned that off. Dude, I love seeing Jamie out there in the wild. Like, I see him all over the place, like in random GitHub issues, and it always makes me smile.
I love seeing that where it's like you click on something random and it's a Stack Overflow post or something really random, and it's like, hey, I know this person.
My favorite part about Manu's talk was at the end. He was like, does anyone have any questions? Because he sped through it a little too fast. And someone was like, I don't understand why you didn't show comparisons for Unicorn and Passenger. And I like leaned over to my brother and I was like, Unicorn and Passenger are old as hell. And
if you're still using Unicorn,
which is unmaintained, by the way, just so we're clear.
Is it?
Yes.
Finally. Yeah. I know GitHub used to use it until
well, a lot of people
not that long ago, but still.
I've worked on plenty of apps that use Passenger. Yes, those still exist and people still use them, and there's no reason for them to be included in a modern benchmark. So I just thought that was funny. I was like, bro, you're still using Passenger? Anyway, Manu's talk was amazing. Andy Atkinson's talk, 10 costly database. I need to like watch that with like a pen and paper. He had so much good information, but it was super dense. So it was one of those talks you have to go back and rewatch because there's just so much information, and it was a really good talk. So definitely recommend that one. I heard Joe Mazzolotti's Hotwire workshop was amazing, but that doesn't surprise me because Joe is amazing. Yeah. Ruby podcast panel, they didn't invite me, so I was against it by default, but don't y'all worry because I made sure I got my voice on there. Oh, they're not gonna leave me out like this.
Did you watch the background job panel right after?
No.
Me neither.
I wanted to. I left that and went to help Jason work. Even though I didn't really contribute anything.
Somebody pointed out too, because I had the same thought, was God forbid anything happens because all of the background job experts are in one room.
Oh, no, it's like, not the bus factor.
They can't all fly the same airplane, just in case.
I've interviewed or talked to almost all of these people and they're super smart. That's one of those that's straight on like the top of the queue for, I have to wait 6 whole weeks on YouTube, but whatever. Jeez.
The one talk I did go see that wasn't a keynote was old Kevin Murphy. It was just great. As
I heard that was good. My favorite talk, and this is not to say that every other talk that was there or I saw was not good, but my favorite talk was Marco's talk on the modern view layer in Rails. Oh my God. He got 2 rounds of applause. That was a phenomenal talk. And I messaged Marco and was like, hey, bro, you want to come on Remote Ruby once Chris and I figure out how a calendar schedule works? And he said yes. So at some point we will have him because, dude, that invigorated me. He has a tool called Herb that he's working on and there's crazy vision. I'm not going to spoil it all. But he asked everyone in the audience to like run Herb Analyze on their code base. And
cool.
It parsed Podia.
Cool.
It also parsed GitHub. So if it didn't parse Podia, I would be like, whatever code it didn't parse, like, get that out of here.
Yeah, I've got Herb. Let's see, the VS Code extension thing added, but I don't think I have the gem installed.
I've been talking to him a little bit about it because this is the thing. Like, to me, this is an us problem. Like, we have several places where we do weird things with content for. I didn't analyze all the files that Herb flagged as errored, but a few of them were like, I 100% understand why it flagged. Like, yeah, there is no opening body tag because we're doing this weird thing in content for, and we have.
Sure.
So,
yep.
I wanted to change that code. I was like, we could be doing this so much better. This is ridiculous.
I just did a screencast on that. Well, several applications I've been building lately need like the main nav bar, but also a sidebar. And it was like making a nested layout with the sidebar would make sense. And I never really had a good sense of how you're supposed to do nested layouts like that. And then I was looking at the Rails guides got updated, I think, and have a nice, pretty clean example where it's, yeah, you use the sidebar layout, you content for content, and you update the main application layout and say like render content for content if, and maybe that should be in main or something, a different name, but you like override the normal yield because it goes in your sub layout. And then that calls and says, hey, always use application layout. So it's like double confusing, but
it works. Whole thing. It does work, but it's like, I fully understand why if you're statically analyzing a single HTML file and you're looking at this content and you're doing weird stuff in that. What's going on here, bro?
Super weird. Yeah.
I got it out successfully. That's the end of my RailsConf. Oh, thank you to everyone who worked on that.
The RailsConf was amazing this year. Yeah. The team was phenomenal. Everybody that worked on everything just made it so.
Shout to Drew Bragg.
So well for us, except don't shout out Drew because the weather was not the best. I meant to call him out on stage about that. His excuse was, I said Philly, but you didn't tell me when RailsConf was going to be in Philly. So,
well, the other thing
I think he still would have argued for Philly regardless.
Well, sure. And I would have argued for Phoenix and you would have argued for, obviously, we don't want to get on a plane. Yeah. But my main issue with Drew at the conference was, do you know Piccolo? Dragon Ball? No. You're not a Dragon Ball enthusiast?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. Well, those of you who have watched Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and know what Piccolo looks like. Piccolo is the OG aura farmer. Goku and Vegeta are getting dog walked somewhere, and Piccolo's just standing on a rock, just looking fly as hell, like randomly off in the distance. All right. Bro is the original aura farmer. I kept calling Drew Piccolo because I swear to God, every time I looked at Drew, he's wearing sunglasses inside and a jacket.
I did see his jacket was on quite a bit.
I had to call that out because I called him out multiple times during the conference, but this is my podcast, so get roasted.
You reminded me of something. I published a bonus episode for the Learn Hotwire course yesterday because when we were talking about layouts just a minute ago, somebody reported a bug on Jumpstart and I was like, yep, that's a bug. But it was complaining about the JavaScript for the turbo frame for notifications was complaining about you can't set a turbo frame to itself with the same source once it's lazy loaded or whatever. Well, it's going to lazy load itself, which probably makes sense. You
I don't see a
want to
problem with
have
that
the
at all.
initial. Well, it could just infinitely trigger HTTP requests.
Oh, yeah.
That way.
Yeah, the return
So the
frame shouldn't have the
original-
source.
Exactly. So the original frame or it had a source, lazy loaded, but then when it loads the frame from the server, it was like, what are you doing? You just gave us the same frame back, basically. And I was like, yeah, what are you doing? That's weird. And I tracked it back to the Turbo Rails gem adds a default layout that says use the Turbo Frame layout if it's a Turbo Frame request. But as you'll see in that lesson in the Learn Hotwire course, if you use layout in your own application anywhere and you intend to eventually or ever use that in a Turbo Frame, you have to be careful to make sure you manually include that logic in there too. Otherwise, it will always render the default layout or the hard-coded layout there,
Yep.
which is not going to be what you want.
I have
That was what
I've
triggered my
experienced this live in IRL. I have a function or a method in my application controller that specifically handles this.
Yeah.
It's like if there's a turbo frame request, do not use the freaking layout.
Yeah, so that was something I thought, would be a good extra lesson for people in the course. The more little things like that I come across that people find or whatever, I'm just going to keep stuffing that course full of more lessons and more bonus content like that because those things are incredibly useful. And then who knows what's going to happen here at Rails World in 49 days.
True. Shit, I need to get flights and hotel. Oh my God.
And we just booked Colin's flight, so I think we're all set.
Why didn't you book mine, bro?
I did. Colin and I are on the same flight back, which is cool. But that's the background job bus thing again.
Not the bus connector. I, for like a week or two, was just collecting every single code example I could find on GitHub related to debugging and monitoring like turbo related events and like frames and highlighting the frames, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I told you a few weeks ago, I found a plugin called Hotwire DevTools. I met the developer of that at the conference. He was dope.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That should be a video, dude, because you could make a 3-minute video on this extension. It works in all the browsers. Oh, thank Christ for that, because people who make extensions for only Chrome can kick a rock as far as I'm concerned.
It's Leon Vogt.
Yeah. So,
I don't think I got to meet him, or I'm not sure. I know I followed him for a long, long time on socials.
I got to meet him. He said he was a listener. So if he's listening, shout out to you, bro, because I'm still in love with this dev tool and I think everyone should just install it.
It's really nice because those are things where you can see extra logs. You can highlight stuff dynamically, turn it on, turn it off, just fiddle in your browser without having to like mess with your code and add extra logging or whatever.
It's so nice.
That gets
and you
a little
can toggle
bit
things
messy
per page and you can add borders. And it's just very helpful when you're building like these complicated views with Turbo, when you're like, I don't understand, where's this thing, or what order does this thing happen to, or I want to see the events that are firing right there. It's so easy to toggle on and off. I'll include a link in the show notes. If you're using Turbo, just do yourself a favor and install this freaking plugin, dude. Like, I'm so in love with this. I'm so in love with the fact that I didn't have to add code to my app, because this does almost everything I wanted and more.
Right.
So that's I want a debugging video on Hotwire.
Yeah, I'll have to add that. That'll be a good one. Well, I have to go because I'm going on another podcast.
Wow.
The Rails
cheating
Business
on me
Podcast.
And telling me is crazy.
So I'll catch you on the flip side.
Catch you later, my brother.
Later.
Peace.